So a lot of people wonder why I dump on Ben Shapiro. I've even taken the side of James Alsop, who I don't necessarily agree with his beliefs either. I think he's, um, his brand of conservatism is kind of all about now. It's beyond even civic nationalism. So I'm not a huge fan of James Alsop necessarily, but I'll listen to his videos because I think he brings up a lot of good points. Ben Shapiro, on the other hand, I don't really like very much, and I'll explain to you why. And I'm not saying I don't respect some of the things that he does. I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. I'm saying that I'm tired of his bullcrap. So the Weekly Standard went out of business, I think, starting last Friday. I think last Friday they issued their last issue. And what Ben Shapiro says here is he's reacting to Donald Trump, who says the pathetic and dishonest Weekly Standard, run by failed prognosticator Bill Kristol, who, like many others, never had a clue, is flat, broke, and out of business. Too bad, may it rest in peace. So that's a clear headshot from Donald Trump against a fallen enemy. He's basically kicking a man while he's down. But so you might say that's a very unpresidential thing. It's unfair, and it's like not becoming of the office of the president. And I'm here to tell you I don't give a fuck. And the most of Americans don't care. A personal feud between Donald Trump and some of these media figures, I think that's really what's defining this presidency. Donald Trump, let me explain to you why this is so important. Donald Trump has defeated ISIS. Donald Trump has also ended the Title IX parallel policing. He's defanged Obamacare almost entirely, meaning that, yes, Obamacare, which, by the way, I did see the news today that it's ruled unconstitutional by a Texas judge. I don't know how it's going to go at the higher courts because obviously John Roberts, the current Chief Justice, is the one who allowed it to be ruled constitutional in the first place. So in round two, I'm not optimistic. But he's defanged Obamacare in that he eliminated the individual mandate, meaning that the harm that it causes to millions of Americans is reduced simply because we're not forced to pay a punitive tax on Obamacare. So and then there's his appointing of justices, the tax cuts. There are a number of of course, his actions on immigration, his cracking down on the intelligence agencies and their abuses of power, and North Korea. I feel with North Korea, that is the biggest accomplishment if it gets completed. Of course, we can't just kick it across the, we can't behave as if it's already been scored. But so far, it looks like North Korea is a success. And those people that would deny him a success should want. I wonder if they realize that we were on the brink of war with North Korea about a year ago, several times. So Ben Shapiro thinks it's a real big deal that Donald Trump is dumping on a newspaper run by a quote unquote conservative that never acknowledged any of these successes. Okay, that's why conservatism, these bow tie conservatives like Ben Shapiro, like Bill Kristol, that's why I don't believe them. I think that they're fraudulent people. They try to basically. Here's the deal. I've heard people talking about this from the conservative side. I listen to a couple radio shows because sometimes that's the only thing to listen to in the car. And some of these people, they are being too kind on the Never Trump crowd. Okay, I'm not a super Trump fan, but I don't believe in this Never Trump bullcrap. So some of these conservative commentators, like for example Dennis Prager, I'll throw the one that I get to listen to the most. They claim that the Never Trump movement is still alive because of people who would rather get pure conservatism as opposed to a few accomplishments that are very important. I disagree. I think the never Trump people are the nerds and the people that always did well in school, the people that were always they always had access to power. They're used to being welcome in Washington as the legitimate conservative, as if the Democrats and their cohorts actually do respect them, because behind closed doors nobody likes anybody. That's my belief. Okay, I believe a lot of the Democrats hate each other too. So it's all a phony lifestyle of people who are protecting their own. They're protecting their circle of conservatism, which has nothing to do with conservatism or beliefs. Some of them, the National Review people, they think that, oh, we're the representatives because William F. Buckley founded our magazine back in the 50s, and we carry the torch of conservatism. No. Okay, an institution that betrays its own values doesn't get to carry those values anymore. That's why on the left wing side, I say, fuck the NAACP. Okay, I'm not afraid to say it. Fuck the ADL. Fuck all those organizations. New organizations. Breitbart, I believe, is still true to its principles. Does it make Breitbart correct all the time? No. No, there's issues with Breitbart, but at least they're consistent with their own principles. So it says here, this is the Hill's commentary on it. Funny stuff. President Trump on Saturday praised the shuttering of the Weekly Standard, a conservative magazine critical of him, one day after the publication announced that it would close and lay off staff. The pathetic and dishonest Weekly Standard, run by failed prognosticator Bill Kristol, who, like many others, never had a clue, is flat broke and out of business. Too bad, Trump tweeted. May it rest in peace. The Weekly Standard, what the fuck is this story about? Fan gifted collar? Whatever. The publishing stories about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. When she gets a fan gifted sarcophagus, that'll be news. The Weekly Standard was co-founded by Bill Kristol, one of Trump's most outspoken critics from the right, and Fred Barnes, a contributor on the Sunday Public Affairs program, The McLaughlin Group, which is on PBS, by the way. Kristol brushed off Trump's comments on Saturday, responding that the president should tag him in future tweets going after him. The conservative news outlet announced on Friday that it would shut down after 23 years. Employees were notified at a staff meeting on Friday. They were told they would be paid through the end of the year and could obtain a severance package if they agreed to sign a strict non-disclosure and non-disparagement agreement. Ooh. Well, I think that might be standard, but, it's still funny. Editor-in-chief Stephen Hayes sent a note to employees referencing difficulties maneuvering the Trump presidency and announcing the magazine and news site would close. This is a volatile time in American journalism and politics, he wrote in the note obtained by CNN. Many media outlets have responded to the challenges of the moment by prioritizing affirmation over information, giving into the pull of polarization and the lure of clickbait. I'm proud that we've remained both conservative and independent, providing some standard reporting and analysis based on facts, logic, and reason. So I think we're seeing a shift, a sea shift over here, because a lot of the comments would normally be extremely anti-Trump on the Hill. I think that the Hill would probably be, there are still people that are they're extreme. Of course they hate Trump. I don't know if it's extreme because, obviously you can hate the president all you want. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But then you have a lot of these people that are just they're running out of patience with Bob Mueller, and they have less and less evidence to show. They have less and less pelts to show out. Where are they? Where's the beef? Okay, they keep talking about, Mueller is going to show. What the fuck are you talking about? Mueller hasn't shown anything. In fact, the plea deal that Michael Flynn has come to might actually be thrown out in the coming days. This is something, by the way, if you watch the Lionel Nation show, which I don't watch as much anymore because, I don't have the fucking time to listen to that guy all day. But, once in a while he comes out with some pretty good videos. So he's been predicting that for a long time, that these plea deals are some of these, like this plea deal is like out the window. Other people too. Dan Bongino has predicted that. Did Bill Kristol predict that? No, because the evidence doesn't matter to him. The circumstances don't matter. This has nothing to do with fact or information. This has to do with the fact that Kristol hated Trump. It has not. It's the same at that point. At that point, let's agree on this. If you can't examine evidence and come to a conclusion based on that, as opposed to your own feelings, it doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative. It doesn't matter if you're progressive or conservative or libertarian or anything. If you can't process information that you're receiving, data from the field, evidence, then fuck your beliefs and your ideology. You're an idiot. That's it. There's no need to embrace any label or any higher moral clothing or anything. It doesn't matter. Okay? It says here, this is the Daily Beast. So talking about the Never Trump movement. So Daily Beast is also kind of a joke publication, which I believe is also kind of in trouble, but not as bad as the Weekly Standard, which I'll discuss why the Weekly Standard fell apart. So Kavanaugh killed the Never Trump movement. Some Never Trumpers are now on board for 2020. Others are leaving the Republican Party for good. One way or the other, it's all about who you know. It's all about you know who. Sorry. So they went and they started talking about this. The whole Kavanaugh moment. Which, by the way, they've never apologized for the fact that they never had consistent evidence of anything that Kavanaugh was accused of. Okay. Consider the dichotomy that has emerged in the last week. We saw people like Eric Erickson, who once wrote a piece headlined, "I will not vote for Donald Trump ever," suggesting they will vote for Trump in 2020. And people like Tom Nichols, formerly of the Federalist, saying Kavanaugh's confirmation was the final straw. He quit the GOP. So, yeah, Tom Nichols, I think, is I'm not sure where I've seen his name before. But the fact is that you can't just pretend that you are the standard bearer of a movement that doesn't have any followers, okay? Some of these people, like especially Bill Kristol, they started to believe during the 2016 election that they are the leaders of a real counterculture in America that is of pure conservatism. And that counterculture simply is, it's so small that nobody would care. I heard a couple of people talk about the fact that the problem with the Never Trump movement is that there are more Never Trump writers than there are people who read their articles. So you have a lot of these publications. It wasn't just, I saw Stephen Turley's publication last week, or his video, sorry, Dr. Steve Turley, where he was absolutely ecstatic at the closing of the Weekly Standard, and I have to agree with him. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's a very smart, perceptive person as far as civic nationalism, or I think he calls it populist nationalism. So basically, there's a real problem with the Never Trump movement, which is that they let all of their personal prejudices get in the way of what really is happening in the world. Okay, you had people like Jennifer Rubin, who prior to 2016 under Obama, she was a massive Obama critic, and because Trump apparently appeared to be this huge threat to whatever bullshit Republican Party she was always loyal to, she decided, I'm basically going to sell out every single belief I'd had over the past 8 years, completely stab my own beliefs in the back, because I have to stay true to those beliefs in order to oppose Trump. It doesn't even make sense. She's the person who, Jennifer Rubin, I'll show you this. So Jennifer Rubin, Paris Climate Accord. So this Washington Post reporter, let Yeah, this is from 2017. So she hated the Paris deal until Trump agreed with her. You might remember her. One time she was on Bill O'Reilly's show and just looked like a complete and utter fool to Bill O'Reilly. She forgot her arguments and everything. She had to like look at a piece of paper and couldn't come. These are people that they go on TV and they claim to represent a belief system that they themselves can't explain. So that's really the Never Trump movement. And I think that in reality, we're seeing people who continue to think that it's a movement going into 2020, and they're going to be very disappointed. Okay, the people who could possibly unseat Donald Trump would have to be people with a long record of standing by their convictions. Okay, because I'm not going to say that he can't lose. I refuse to believe that. I would say that somebody like Tulsi Gabbard would be a good candidate. There are people who would be able to kind of, bullshit their way to the top, like Kirsten Gillibrand. I've heard her name bandied about several times, which I'm not totally convinced she could. But let's say, for argument's sake, that you would want like a sleazy politician that would be able to beat Donald Trump. I think she would be one of the few ones that could. Okay, that's not my idea. It's just I've heard her name around a few times. But people are throwing around these ideas that there could be a third-party conservative challenge to Donald Trump, or he could lose the primary. You have to remember that in 2016, you had him basically demolish Marco Rubio in Florida. There were a number of other not nominees, but candidates that could barely win their own state. You had Ted Cruz had to fight off Trump in Texas. You had, I believe, Trump easily was going to win Kentucky, and that's why Rand Paul pulled out. Which I'm sorry it had to happen, because I would still take Rand Paul over Donald Trump. That's my opinion. Yeah, John Kasich, he had to be propped up by the anti-Trump movement in order to win Ohio, because Ted Cruz was not polling high enough in Ohio. So a lot of the Cruz voters simply piled on to John Kasich's bandwagon in Ohio, and he won over here. And, full disclosure, I did vote for him in that primary. I didn't think Trump was going to be a good candidate at the time. So notwithstanding all that, Trump basically slaughtered all of those candidates. None of them were of any significant challenge to him. Hillary Clinton had a harder challenge from Bernie Sanders than Donald Trump had from 17 Republican opponents. So 2020, he is going to be the nominee for the Republican Party. If somebody tries to run against him, it'll be hilarious watching them flop in state after state and run out of money. Because eventually people, if they understand that a campaign is not going to make it, they're just going to stop donating. Some of these super PACs are going to be dead. After about a month, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, whoever it is, will probably going to be John Kasich or Jeff Flake or somebody. Those people are going to be high and dry, and they better hope that they're the only person challenging Trump, because otherwise they have to split the small funding that they do get. So yeah, that's about it. Please like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to me on CocoScope and on BitChute. Okay, both of those links are below. And also, please follow me on all the other social media. If you can, contribute to me on Patreon for the moment. Sorry, but I don't have a Subscribe Star yet. I've heard there's a problem with Subscribe Star. And also enjoy your Sunday. And go Cowboys!